Here I am again. It's been a whole week, and I'm recording in the middle of the night because, well, I record when I get a chance to. Anyways, we're back to the start of 1936, and Famous Funnies has picked up some new features. Boots, Freckles and his friends, Herky, our boarding house, Alley Oop. I bet that's the only one you recognize so far, and Captain Easy. Only one of those features began as supporting cast in someone else's comic strip. Royston Roy Crane wanted to be a cartoonist his whole life. He took a cartooning correspondence course at the age of 14. He studied art at two Texas universities when most kids his age were still in high school, then went to Chicago to study at the Academy of Fine Arts at the age of 19. He excelled in drawing pretty women there. In 1922, he got a job in New York for the New York World newspaper, assisting as staff cartoonist H.T. Webster. By 1924, he was ready to pitch his own daily comic strip, Wash Tubbs. Washington Tubbs II was a cartoonishly short man, girl crazy, surrounded by Roy Crane's beauties. How couldn't he be? And landed in a new gag situation every day, until Roy got tired of them after just 12 weeks of strips. What followed was a continuing narrative from day to day while Wash went on an adventure, his first adventure being running away to join the circus, and thus the adventure genre was born in comic strip form. Yes, to some extent Thimble Theater, still in its pre-Popeye days, had an ongoing narrative, but at this point it was still largely focused on gags. Roy Crane was the first creator to successfully downplay the comedy his characters were made for, while at the same time making the setting more realistic so there seemed like real higher stakes and danger for the characters. Wash was meant to be an underdog hero who had to outsmart his antagonists because he was too weak and small to fight them, but some strips required Wash to have a stronger companion to back him up. Two early prototypes were March McGargle and Gozy Gallop, characters so obscure now that I had to rely on Don Markstein's Tunipedia website to get their names, before Roy settled on a character that would be the exact opposite of Wash Tubbs. Tall to Wash's short, experienced to Wash's naivete, calm to Wash's manicness, desired by women instead of always chasing women, and while everything seemed hard to Wash, they would seem easy for Captain Easy. Captain Easy was rescued out of a castle dungeon by Wash Tubbs during an adventure in 1929. Captain Easy never revealed his past, his first name, possibly his last name. Easy is just what he tells us his name is. And all we know is that he's traveled the world for a long time as a soldier of fortune, and that he was originally from the South, given his accent and how he calls everyone "suh." Easy's popularity soon eclipsed Wash Tubbs, and it wasn't long, 1933 in fact, when Captain Easy got his own spin-off comic strip. Roy enjoyed the stories he could tell with Easy so much more that he began focusing his attention first on Easy's strip and then finally on Easy's Sunday pages. Here, Roy perfected his clean, crisp line work. No line was ever wasted on a Captain Easy Sunday page. Anytime color could be used to denote what something was instead of intricate line work, color did the job. But this wasn't laziness on Roy's part. He drew however much of the scene you needed to get to see to get a sense of place. Solid black inking was used frequently, along with extreme close-ups, usually of pretty women, to create an unusual for the time sense of depth to the comic page. Most importantly, Roy choreographed fight scenes in a realistic, non-cartoony way that would inform the superhero genre for decades to come. Perhaps just as important as bringing the adventure genre to comic strips, Roy Crane invented something else with Wash Tubbs and Captain Easy. Think for just a moment of all the adventure heroes and superheroes you can name that have or have had comic relief sidekicks. That tradition originated here. Anytime you see a hero with a short sidekick, even if it's a young boy sidekick, like, oh, Batman and Robin, that duo owes that dynamic to Captain Easy and Wash Tubbs. And we're going to see other examples, even more derivative. Just wait till we get to Slam Bradley and Shorty. When we first meet Captain Easy in Famous Funnies, it just picks up in the middle of an adventure in the South Seas with Easy and his own sidekick, a tall but scrawny Englishman named Pippi, being captured and then escaping from the native islanders. As a heads up, South Seas adventures are always going to be racist, with the indigenous people referred to as savages and seeming with nothing better to do with their time than just killing random comic strip heroes. And they're referred to as Orientals too. But Crane doesn't dwell on this threat. In a page, Easy has already won their escape with the age of smoke bombs. They make their way to the ruins of a lost city, which they plan to loot of its riches, but are beset by huge crocodiles that almost kill Pippi. Easy's world can have silly people and silly situations in it, but it can also be brutally dangerous, like when a large tiger kills one of their pack mules. The lost city is mostly submerged underwater, but Easy is convinced a fortune of gold is down there, so he dons a diving suit and plans on going down, even though Pippi has spotted a giant shark in the water. And that's just 3 pages in. We've seen this relentless narrative pace only one other place so far in the comic books, and that's Siegel and Schuster's work. But Roy Crane has another narrative trick up his sleeve. He knows when to slow the pace down when he wants to, like the page Easy spends marveling at the amazing brilliance of a submarine wonderland like he's Jacques Cousteau or something. You can read these stories on the websites that curate the history of the public domain comic books, like Digital Comic Museum and Comic Book Plus, but if you ever get a chance, you should look for the full-size reprint volumes of the original Sunday pages collected by Fantagraphics. I'm just going to quickly fan through some pages here so you can see how gorgeous this stuff is. Maybe not that page. Here we go. I wish it was easier to find these volumes. I still only have this one, Volume 2, collecting the Sunday strips from 1936 to 1937. As often as Captain Easy finds himself in exotic locales, I think it's interesting that my favorite adventure from here is the Diamond Formula set in New York City. It's going to be a while, of course, before the comic books that we're following here catch up to those reprinted in here. Alright, so if you get a chance, maybe look for these volumes on eBay if you're willing to spend a good chunk of money, or maybe you'll get lucky and your public library will interlibrary loan it for you. Regardless, happy reading, get yourself a good night's sleep, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.